welcome back to Day 3, Part 2 notes, where we're going to start constructing a histogram for each of the players. So notice I've already rewritten Bob's points per game at the top in order from least to greatest. In order to draw a histogram, I'm going to need to look at the lowest and highest number in the data set. So here I have the lowest number 3, and the highest number is 15. I'm going to use this to help to determine a scale that will give me between about 5 and 10 groups. So looking at the lowest number 3 and the highest number 15, I'm going to go and make groups of 3. So that should give me 5 groups of 3. So my groups are going to go from 0 to 3, 3 to 6, 6 to 9, 9 to 12, and then 12 to 15. So notice I have 5 groups of 3. Then I'm going to go through the data in order and record a tally mark next to the group it belongs in. So I'm going to go and start with the lowest number. The lowest number is 3. If the value falls on the border between two groups, place that value in the higher group. So 3 I'm going to place in group 3 to 6. I'm going to put 1 tally mark there. The next number 6 falls between two groups. So again, I'm going to place this in the higher group. So 6 will go here. I have a 7, so that belongs in this group. 8 goes in this group, and I have 2 8s, so I'm going to put 2 tally marks for 8. 9 falls within 2 groups, so I'm going to place that in the higher group. 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, I have 4 10s, so I'm going to put 4 tally marks in group 9 through 12. I have next 2 11s, so that's another 2 tally marks in group 9 through 12. 13, a 15, and a 15. So I'll put 3 tally marks in groups 12 through 15. So now I'm going to count up how many I have in each group. I have 1 for group 3 through 6. I have 4 for groups 6 through 9. I have 7 for groups 9 through 12. And I have 3 for groups 12 through 15. Now I'm going to create this groups on the bottom of my histogram, and I'm going to mark off 0 to 3, 3 to 6, 6 to 9, 9 to 12, and then 12 to 15. Great. Now I can go ahead and put a vertical line over each group that corresponds with the number of tally marks in each group. So 0 to 3 does not have any. It has 0. So I don't need to draw a bar for that group. That will show a gap on my graph. 3 to 6 had 1 tally mark in that group. So I'm going to draw a line hovering over the 1 and fill that in for my bar. Group 6 to 9 had a total of 4 tally marks. So my bar graph, my bar should reach up to number 4. 9 to 12 had a total of 7. So draw group 9 to 12 going up to number 7. The left side is the frequency number of each group. Group 12 through 15 had 3. And I should have 15 points of data, 1, 4, 7, and 3, because I have 15 points in the data set for Bob's points per game. So that would be my histogram constructed. Go ahead and pause the video for a moment and see if you can come up using that same scale on the left of 0 through 12. You may have to make adjustment on your paper for that scale. And see if you can construct Tanner's histogram. Rewrite Tanner's points per game in order from least to greatest at the top of it helps so you don't have to keep flipping back and forth. I'll pause the video here and come back and we'll check your work. Okay, go ahead and take a look at your histogram for Tanner and make sure if you should have used the same group 0 to 3, 3 to 6, 6 to 9, 9 to 12, and 12 to 15. You should have those values. Notice there are no numbers, no tally marks for group 0 through 3, 3 through 6, so you shouldn't have a bar. Those are considered gaps. And for 6 through 9, you had 3 tally marks, 9 through 12, or 9 tally marks, and 12 through 15 had 3 tally marks. So your histogram for Tanner should look like that. So go ahead and make any changes or adjustments before we go on and describe the shape of the histogram for each. Okay, looking at Bob's histogram, we can see that there's more data that's spread out, so we can describe the spread as more spread. Also, we have an outlier there, so it looks like Bob's histogram is skewed left, since most of the data falls on the right, and we have tail off to the left, it's skewed left. For Tanner's histogram, we can see that it looks even on both sides of the peak of groups 9 through 12. So there's less spread. Most of the data falls very close together. So it is symmetric and it is even on both sides. Okay, next we're going to construct a dot plot for each player. And constructing a dot plot is very similar to a histogram in that it counts the frequency of each data value. So again, I wrote Bob's points that he scored per game in order from smallest to greatest, so we can have that to refer back to. And what you're going to do is you're going to place dots above the appropriate number to represent the data values. So I'm going to stack dots in a column to represent each count of the data. So for instance, the first number 3, I only have 1 3, so I'm going to put 1 dot for 3. The value of number 6 only has one value is 6, so that gets 1 dot. 7 has 1 value also. 8, there are 2 numbered 8s, so I'm going to place 2 dots. I'm going to stack them one on top of each other vertically. 9 has 1 value of 9. There are 4 values of 10, so I'm going to put 4 dots stacked on top of each other. 11 has 2. 13 has 1, and 15 has 2. Notice the numbers 1, 2, 4, 5, 12, and 14 aren't in my data set, so I don't need to place any dots above those numbers on the number line. And there is my dot plot for Bob. So now go ahead and pause the video here, and if you need to rewrite Tanner's point values below to get it organized, go ahead and do so and create your dot plot and come back and let's check your dot plot when you're finished. Okay, go ahead and check your dot plot that you made for Tanner. Make sure you have all 15 points. You should have 15 dots on your dot plot to represent all of the 15 points of data in Tanner's data set. And when we're ready, when you're ready, we'll go ahead and talk about the shape and the measure of spread for each of the players. Okay, looking at Bob's dot plot, how would we describe the shape of it? Well, notice again there is that outlier there. Since there's an outlier on the left, I can describe the shape for Bob as, again, skewed left. Okay, now let's look at Tanner's. Okay, Tanner's dot plot looks roughly symmetric. It has more of a bell shape. Remember, as long as the shape is approximately the same on both sides, you can say the shape is symmetric. Okay, describing the spread, measure of spread or variability. We could say Bob has more widespread measure for his dot plot. And for Tanner, everything is clustered closer together, so it's less spread for Tanner, which is less variability. So Tanner has less spread, which is less variability. So let's look at everything. In your opinion, who is the star basketball player? Okay. Well, if we look back at everything from the box plots to the histogram and the dot plots, Tanner had the higher scores. There were no outliers. His range is lower, the IQR was less, had less variability. So this showed that Tanner was more consistent with his data. And there was less variability, so I'm going to go with Tanner as being the star basketball player. Tanner won, yay! Tanner won because he was more consistent. He was more consistent with his data. Okay, he had the higher scores. No outliers. He had a lower range. The IQR had less variability. So this showed that he was more consistent with everything, no matter how we displayed it. Okay, and that's day 3 notes. So now that you've had day 3 notes written out, you can go ahead and continue on to the next step in the learning